Hey everyone, this is a quick video showcasing the Venom and Knull Marvel Legends 2-pack that I bought some months ago. I thought two spooky looking toys like this would be fitting for the Halloween spirit. Worth immediately pointing out that I bought this pack for Venom, a character that I am fully familiar with, not the Knull figure, a character that I do not know anything about. I think when this released it sold for around $110 down here. That feels like the standard price for these 2-pack deals down here. It was eventually clearance down to $60, and then there was a 30% off deal for all clearance items at the retailer that I tend to go to, so I got this for a really good deal actually. And of course I am trying to build a full display of Spider-Man figures, so Venom fits there perfectly. Here are both figures out of the box, very tall figures compared to the types that I'm used to covering here on this channel, and here they are with all of their accessories laid out as well. We have some hands, heads, a sword, and a pair of wings. We'll go over each of them once we've seen the figures. So I think Knull here interested me the most. I knew that I would really like that Venom figure, that felt guaranteed to me, but I don't know anything about this character, as I'll mention throughout the review, so I really wanted him to impress me the most. I'm assuming this is his first time being released in the Marvel Legends line because this character is still so new to comics. He wears this really cool armor set that is a softer, almost rubber-like material. It's not quite rubber though. It even has a few dings all around to emphasize some wear and tear issues. I think details like that are really cool. The symbiote red logo looks like a brand new logo to me. I really like those bandages that are wrapped around his arms there. It adds some depth to the molds. He has a harder material that's used for his skirt, which does actually interfere with his articulation though, which is a little bit of a bother for me. He feels like a video game character to me, but that is a good thing, I swear. I really like this figure overall, despite not being familiar with that source material. As for his articulation, Knull can rotate his head like so. He has a pretty good replacement one, so the articulation here is a given. His shoulder pads can respond to the movements of his shoulders, very handy for his movements. Bends in the elbows and the hands here, some rotates as well, and likewise for the other arm too. He has some rib movements, but the chest armor does get in the way slightly. He can move backwards just fine. He does feature some waist movements, great, but his legs are a little tricky to move here forward and back. If you push them forward through that skirt, then his legs can move forward. He features some rotates in his legs and bends in the knee. He also has some feet articulation too. Knull has an alternate head revealing some very sharp teeth. It almost resembles to me a vampire. The head can be popped off and swapped over. I think I greatly preferred this teeth head to his regular stern look. You can even see that the details like his hair are different in the molds, which I think is really neat. It looks as though it's reacting to the wind. I always really appreciate dynamic details like that. He also then has this sword, which looks to be all symbiotic. There's black and red goo all throughout and a brown strap handle there. It's a really cool piece actually. The red symbiote pieces really elevate this piece a lot for me. I haven't read the comics, so I don't know if he actually has a sheath or not to hold the sword. I'll go ahead and assume that in the comics he doesn't, and that's why nothing was provided for an optional storage route for the sword. He looks great overall though. And then here's Venom, who for the uninitiated people like myself was the figure that I was the most excited for realistically. I really love that texture and design he's got going on, where he just looks all slimy like this. I think it's just excellent and it works for him perfectly. He really towers over the regular figures that I have, and I really appreciate all of those thick parts that he uses, like his massive legs and arms compared to other action figures. His spider logo is really eye-catching. It covers most of the body mold here. On his back he does have these two giant holes close to his shoulders. We'll touch on that in a moment though. I'm really satisfied overall with how he looks standing and everything. Articulation is also really good, better than Knull's because he is mostly just a plain figure. Venom can easily rotate at his head up and down, side to side. Great and easy bends on his rotates as well for his arms. No clavicle movement though, which I think for Venom is a missed opportunity. He can still rotate in his forearm though. He's got some bends in his elbows and his hands here. The same for the other side of course. He's got some strong bends in his ribs for his upper torso where he can rotate, and he has some bends in his lower ribs as well. His massive legs can move outwards and they can rotate at the upper thigh joint. Pretty good bends in his knees for both his upper and lower leg, and he's got some feet rotates as well. Very long feet so he can stand quite easily. No toe movement though. Stands tall, stands well. Now Venom's accessories are probably my favorite part of this set. He's got a really crazy expression with an open mouth and a slimy tongue, an insane and excellent inclusion, the exact thing that I was wanting from a Venom action figure. I love the look of the gums and the teeth exposed. It's perfect. Venom also comes with an extra pair of hands. Unlike Knull, Venom here uses these really long claw pieces instead of his fists, another perfect inclusion for Venom. These extras make for some really dynamic poses that really fits for that character, especially for how I've always known him. I really love it. He's gonna look great on my display. Obviously, the most exciting inclusion were these symbiote wings. I don't know the context in which these are used, but the toy ultimately looks really great. These are two unique parts, and you get two of each piece here, a small section and a larger section. It's the smaller section that can clip into Venom's shoulder, and it also clips into the larger wing. It's a solid plastic that's been used, but the in-between parts feel a bit softer than usual, not quite rubber though. There's some tears all throughout the wings and some differences in the textures for the red and black sections. And these wings are big, they are very large, they cover up the entire review space here, so bear with me on the filming. They clip into each other here at these ends, and they make a really long, gorgeous looking piece. They clip into the holes on his back here, which are very tricky to actually get into. It'll need some heating beforehand, at least in my experience. Here he is now with those wings attached. You'll need a really good display system because these wings, they kind of throw off his balance. I'm really amazed with this overall though, and for something that I'm not familiar with at all. He can stand fairly well once you get it all in place, it just takes a little bit of extra effort. The wings here have some articulation at their connectors, it's not too much though, but it is at least something. They can easily fall off if they're not connected onto properly. Again, like I was saying, trying to get them on is really tight and a bit of a struggle, so you might need to heat things up a little bit. They're really awesome pieces though. It looks like in comics Knull also gets wings at some point. A common criticism I've seen people say is they believe Hasbro will eventually release one with the wings separately, getting you to buy both of these packs. It sounds about right to me actually. Obviously, being someone who hasn't read those issues before, I would have naturally preferred if Knull had these wings and Venom was to be left alone, but then again I don't know if this pack would have been released otherwise. The Venom figure would just be a regular figure overall. This is a very strong 2-pack I'm really glad I bought, and I'm overall really satisfied with both of these figures, especially for the clearance price I managed to find it for. I think that this is a real steal. I love the Venom figure a lot with those great accessories inclusions, and I actually do really like that Knull figure too, despite not having any prior attachment to that character. Great figures that will make a really great addition to my collection.